all around the world. Roads, bridges, railways, waterways, tunnels, and airports. In one way or another, extreme. From the crazy to the deadly, the magnificent to the terrifying. Incredible engineering and astonishing human stories. These are the world's most extreme. Our extreme bridges span the world. From Nepal and Japan to Bolivia and Russia.
Bridges have huge effects. They're little bits of infrastructure which literally bring people together.
There's engineering in the extreme. Bridges that defy gravity and the elements. The tallest ever built. And bridges that bring communities together.
When I start to construct this type of bridge, people say he's a crazy man.
They're a playground for thrill seekers, bikers, crane climbers, base jumpers, astonishing jobs, incredible lives, and terrifying near disasters.
Hang on, we called 911, hang on!
I thought this was, how I was gonna die.
Now strap yourself in to experience the 10 most extreme bridges on the planet. First in our list at number 10, New York's George Washington, the busiest road bridge on Earth. Over 100 million vehicles a year cross this 3/4-mile double-decker suspension bridge.
We have 14 road lanes, we have 8 on the upper level, and we have 6 on the lower level.
As the single most important roadway in the eastern United States, the George Washington can never shut.
Biggest challenge is just trying to keep ahead of everything that's going on. It's like performing open heart surgery on a marathon runner as he's running a marathon. It truly is.
It's the major artery crossing the Hudson River, linking Manhattan and Fort Lee, New Jersey. Over 100,000 cars, 10,000 trucks, 1,000 buses pass over this bridge every day, 365 days a year, year after year. When the George Washington has a problem, the entire east coast of America suffers. Just look what happened on the 13th of September 2013, when regular traffic flow on just 2 of the 14 lanes was disrupted. Utter chaos.
Traffic jams will flood the entire upper half of Manhattan, or as we saw recently, it can flood entire towns in New Jersey to the point where traffic even on the side streets comes to a total standstill.
People rely on these corridors to go back and forth. Traffic needs to flow. We do everything that we can on a daily basis to ensure that all the roadways and all the lanes to the bridge are open to the public. If we were to shut down this corridor, there would be tens of billions of dollars in lost economic activity to the region.
10 a.m. Local Jersey boy Chris Bonanno and his team of electricians begin their shift.
I live about 10 miles from here. I grew up 10 miles from here. I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be working here, being up here. It is tremendous.
Having served 35 years as a fireman, Chris has swapped one extreme job for another. 600 feet up, there's a fault with the power on the George Washington, and someone's got to fix it.
High voltage, fiber optics, telecommunications, power, roadway lighting, anything basically with wires, that's what we do.
That means walking the cables.
Alrighty, let's see what we have here.
Are we gonna go all the way down?
To do this job, you need a real head for heights.
Walking the cables is a thrill. If you're not comfortable with walking on these cables, you can't work here.
With over 10,000 light bulbs and many miles of electrical cables, Chris and his team face a daily struggle to keep the bridge in working order.
We got a report that there was a light out. You go through each one, and then you come up to the one that has the problem and work on resolving the power.
You okay?
Yeah. That one looks like it's out. So
That
we'll
one's
move up
out
to
for
that
sure.
one.
We're gonna have to work on it.
Working up here, above the busiest bridge in the world, one mistake could prove fatal.
All right, let's see what we got. There doesn't appear to be any cracks on the cable. Let me have the pin tester.
If Chris drops a spanner, it will hit the ground at over 100 miles per hour, fast enough to slice through a car's roof and a driver's skull.
Got it. You work at a half speed so that you make sure that everything you have stays in your hands.
If this were any normal bridge, they would close a few lanes for this kind of repair work. But not the George Washington.
The George Washington Bridge can never shut. You have to have it open at all times. It's critical.
Working on live, high-voltage cables, Chris Bonanno must be careful.
You know, these guys I work with, they're like brothers to me. When we're working on high voltage, 4,160 volt feeders, or working on these cables 600 feet off the water, we're always looking out for each other.
Hey, we have a feed.
We
That's
got
good.
power. Secondary is nothing.
Maybe a spike on the line. All right, I'm gonna give you a new fuse.
Got it. Hopefully this will do it.
There you go. We got
All
light.
right.
Beautiful.
This time, it's a routine fix.
We were fortunate enough where it was just a fuse that was blown. It could be a loose wire or a bad driver in the LED.
But there's no respite for Chris and his team, as they're straight on to the next job. And the electricians are just one small part of the army of workers required to keep the bridge open. Day and night, whatever happens.
My job is to make sure that all the roadways are safe. We have emergency responders who are here, tunnel and bridge agents who respond to breakdowns on the bridge, who deliver babies if someone's having a baby on the bridge, fighting fires, all the different things that need to happen. You have all the facilities here to handle.
And it's a good thing they do, because keeping traffic flowing on the George Washington means New York can stay open for business. At number 9 in Bolivia are the world's fastest bridges, the Yungas zip wires. Deep in the Bolivian rainforest, farmers have an extreme way of getting about. These are the Yungas zip wires, makeshift cables strung across steep jungle valleys. Simply attach a harness and away you go. It's public transport like you've never seen it before.
En los cables, como quien dice el hombre pájaro.
Muy emocionante, sí, siente volar, digamos, ¿no?
Plantations in Bolivia's Yungas Valley are so remote that farmers need to find a unique way of getting their crops to market. One man, Don Ignacio, came up with a simple solution.
Manejamos como burrito así, cargado así. Ya hemos pensado ya, pasaremos como andanivel ya. Ya hemos pensado ya. Yo he fundado cable también, yo he comprado, yo a la compita.
A back-breaking 3-mile journey through steep and treacherous jungle terrain now takes just 30 seconds. The plant the farmers are trading in is a real cash cow, worth 30% more than other crops. Coca, the raw ingredient of the drug cocaine. But in Bolivia, coca is legal and sold for its supposed medicinal effects. Now, thanks to Don Ignacio's zip wire bridges, Getting this prized crop to the nearest road and then onto market is much easier. Today, there are over 20 zip wires, as long as 400 meters and as high as 176 meters. As well as carrying crops, it's also an easy way of moving just about anything. Even your family.
Sí, he pasado, a un comienzo da miedo, uno comienza a temblar. Ahora ya no tengo miedo, liviano las cosas, tranquilo, ya no se puede, tiene miedo.
But suspended from rusting pulleys and traveling at up to 25 miles per hour, there have been accidents.
Es súper emocionante, es divertido, uno se divierte mucho, pero también hay que tener cuidado, ¿no? Con todo esto. Te puedes accidentar.
3 people have fallen to their deaths.
Aquí ha muerto el papá de mi hija, mi esposo. En el otro cable de aquí más abajo.
It's a pretty frightening system. You've got anchorages at each side which have got to be good. Some of these are 20 years old, they're rusting, they're going to break at some point in time. So they're taking risks, but they're risks worth taking.
Coming up, in the mountains of Nepal, there's an elegant bridge that's transformed lives. We've seen the busiest and the fastest bridges on the planet. Now at number 8, we head to Siberia in Russia for a bucking bronco of a bridge, the Volgograd. All bridges shake, but some of them, like the Millennium Bridge in London after it first opened, take it to extremes. On the 1st of July 1940, a new state-of-the-art suspension bridge opened in Tacoma, Washington. It was an engineering marvel.
Tacoma Narrows Bridge at the time was one of the largest suspension bridges in the world.
Just 4 months later, strong 40-mile-an-hour winds struck the bridge, causing the 504-ton roadway to oscillate.
Well, all bridges move, they vibrate due to traffic, they vibrate due to wind. You can't make a perfectly rigid structure. It doesn't make sense.
As the wind caught the bridge, one half of the bridge would be twisted one way and the other half would twist the other way. It built up a natural frequency. And the more it flexed, the more the wind caught it, and the more the wind caught it, the more it flexed.
The shaking motion became more and more violent until the bridge literally shook itself apart. Its failure sent shockwaves around the world.
Every major suspension bridge in the world was upgraded to avoid that particular problem. The Golden Gate, the Humber, all of those.
But despite the lessons learned from the Tacoma disaster, bridges still shake more than they're supposed to. This is not a camera trick. In 2010, the concrete Volgograd Bridge in southern Russia was shut after it started to wobble. If you were standing on the bridge like this guy, it would feel like being hit by an earthquake, measuring 9 on the Richter scale. The cause of the problem? The exact same as the Tacoma Narrows: wind.
The wind is blowing just enough to lift the bridge up a little bit and let it drop back down again. You could imagine it's rather like tapping on a pendulum. You just keep giving it a push and it goes a little bit further each time.
Unlike the godfather of all shaky bridges, the Volgograd survived. It was reopened just 5 days later. Shock absorbers were fitted to prevent the sway.
And these shock absorbers have the effect of killing the frequency of the bridge and damping out the movement so that the wind can no longer excite it.
Problem solved. But nobody knows when and where the curse of the shaky bridge will strike next.
All the time in engineering, we're progressing, and as we progress, we push the boundaries. And it's not unusual that every 10 years you have a problem.
At number 7, staying in Russia, it's the Russky Bridge. Linking Russky Island to the Siberian mainland is the longest cable-stayed bridge in the world. This 1,100-meter roadway is supported almost entirely by cables alone. But it's not the bridge design that's crazy, it's what happens on it. "19-year-old Vitaly Raskalov and his friend had an illegal mission: to scale the Russky Bridge, film it, then post it on the web. It's part of a new craze sweeping through Russia, known as skywalking.
There's a whole movement in Russia of people doing all kinds of incredibly dangerous things to get onto the most dangerous infrastructure they can find and shoot videos of themselves. They do it for fun, they do it for glory.
1,000 feet high, the Russky Bridge was the ultimate skywalking challenge for teenage thrill-seekers. Not content with reaching the top of the bridge, Vitaly decided to climb the crane reaching out over the water. Without a harness, if his foot or hand had slipped, he would have fallen over 1,000 feet into the water below. Incredibly, both teenagers made it to the top. They were later arrested, then released by the authorities. Each was forced to pay a 300 ruble fine for trespassing. That's a $5. Over 3 million people have viewed Vitaly's video of his crazy antics on the Russky Bridge. At number 6, we head to Nepal and the world's most elegant bridge, the Kushma-Gyadi. This thin wire bridge is so high, it should come with a health warning. Don't look down. But to the local Nepalese, this bridge is a godsend. 200 miles from Mount Everest in Nepal is the small village of Gyadi-Chor. For as long as the village has existed, the mighty Modi River Gorge has cut it off from the bustling market town of Kushma. Loaded with goods, the journey by foot is a painstaking 2-hour walk up and down treacherous trails.
Walking along the gorge up to Kushma or other way back is not just a matter of time. Sometimes people just tip over and they can injure themselves.
The gorge was a major problem. People were leaving the village to find a better life elsewhere. But one local engineer who was about to retire, Surya Prakash Paudil, had a solution: a pioneering and daring wire suspension bridge.
When I finish my service life, then I come down to own districts and Kushma village, and I think myself, before retired life, we have to do something and give to them. This I made a design and then go to the government, please give me money to construct this. The people think it cannot be because it's long bridge, too high bridge. These children cannot be crossed, old men cannot be crossed. When I start to construct this type of bridge, that time people say he's a crazy man.
Surya set out to prove he wasn't crazy and built a bridge that absolutely anyone could use.
This bridge is the epitome of efficiency. It's really effectively made out of a few cables which are slung across the valley. So the first thing you need to do is get somebody to literally run from one side of the valley with a piece of string, to which you attach a little bit stronger piece of string, and you pull that across. Having got the stronger bit of string across, you attach a rope to the end of that and you pull that across. Once you've got the rope across, you tie that to the end of the cable and you haul the cable across. That's the hard bit. Once you've got them across, you anchor them off. Once they're anchored off, you can then start building a deck on them.
The bridge is a unique engineering solution in its environment. It's a tension structure. All of the primary stresses are in tension. We string the cables across the gorge and pull them tight. That's a very efficient use of material. And that's important in an area like this.
The bridge revolutionized life for the villagers.
When I finish, I have that inside my, always I am happy.
This bridge has made huge impact on local people, including me. You see all these people bringing their goats and chickens and big bundle of hay or fodder for their cattle, which simply was not possible before the bridge.
म यो पुल बन्नुभन्दा अगाडि म खेतीपाती नै गर्थेँ र त्यसपछि म यहाँ व्यवसाय सुरु गरेँ। यो पुल बन्नाले मेरो जीवनमा राम्रो सकारात्मक पोजिसन ल्याएको छ र पुल बन्नाले म धेरै गौरवशाली बनेको छु।
But while it's a boon for the villagers, at 400 feet high, the Kushma Gyadi Bridge is hell for vertigo sufferers.
Walking across the bridge, you surely feel it moving, and well, it wiggles from side to side. You kind of feel floating on the bridge.
And now, one man's crazy solution is attracting tourists from around the world.
Bridges generally have huge effects. They're little bits of infrastructure which literally bring people together. This bridge demonstrates to the people of Nepal how a little bit of engineering can make a big difference.
At number 5, in the wilds of Siberia, is Vitim, the world's roughest bridge. Running through Siberia is the Baikal-Amur mainline road. It's 2,600 miles long and cuts through some of the most hostile terrain on the planet. But there's one section of this road that those brave enough to drive it fear most. The Vitim Bridge. When adventure motorcyclists Tony Petty and Walter Kolbach reached the west bank of the Vitim River, there was only one way ahead. Crossing the river was a military railway bridge, but running parallel was its ancient, crumbling forefather. It was a bridge they had to cross if they were going to continue their journey through Siberia.
If you're doing the Bound Road, you can't avoid the Vitim Bridge, because the only other bridge over the Vitim River is a rail bridge guarded by troops with Kalashnikovs that will not let you anywhere near it.
I went to Jelly looking at it. It was an amazing sight, and I realized I had to go across this.
A third of a mile long, less than 7 feet wide, crossing the Vitim Bridge required nerves of steel. The surface was uneven. The planks were rotting. One loose sleeper and they could lose control and plummet 50 feet into the ice-cold river below.
I think if anything goes wrong on the bridge, there's a 90+% chance that it'll be fatal.
Once you're on the bridge, you become very alone. It's very high. There are no side edges or barriers. If you fall over, you wouldn't survive.
Now halfway across the bridge, there was no turning back.
I just concentrated on the piece of bridge 2-3 meters in front of me, no more.
I kept telling myself, don't look down, don't look around, don't take in the view, it'll freak you out. You know, don't think about it, just do it. Once you're done, there's this enormous sense of relief and achievement.
I was emotionally drained and physically exhausted, and I just stood there staring into the distance, just shell-shocked.
In honor of the terrifying crossing, Walter founded the Vitim Bridge Club.
I decided to promote the bridge and to promote it as an adventure challenge for people.
As long as you've crossed that bridge, you're welcome into the club.
Oh, yeah.
Coming next, a bridge on America's East Coast that has a fearsome reputation.
You gotta hold on!
There are bridges that shake themselves to destruction, and in Russia, bridges that only the brave dare cross. But now, at number 4, on America's East Coast, is the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, the scariest on the planet. Connecting Maryland's eastern and western shores, stretching the entire width of the Chesapeake Bay, is a bridge nearly 5 miles long and 200 feet high. But for many motorists, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge isn't a man-made wonder. It's a driving nightmare.
It is absolutely the most terrifying bridge I've ever driven across.
It's like a roller coaster ride. It's not like just a bridge, like straight shot. It goes higher and higher and higher and higher, then you go down and down and down, so it's really nerve-wracking.
This is the world's scariest bridge. A reputation that's well-deserved.
They're coming, they're sending help! Hang on, we called 911, hang on!
It was the 19th of July, 2013. Cheerleading coach Morgan Lake was driving home. Her route took her over the Chesapeake Bay. As she started the drive over the bridge, Morgan spotted an 18-wheel lorry bearing down on her.
I see the huge, big old nose grill coming full speed in my rearview mirror. The nose just got bigger and bigger. And I was just like, oh, he's coming kind of fast. Before I even knew it, he just hit me really hard.
The impact pushed Morgan's car up and over the bridge's guardrails. She plummeted 40 feet towards the water below.
I thought this was, how I was gonna die.
Miraculously, Morgan survived the fall. But then, her car started to sink.
I was not ready to die, and I did not want to die drowning. Drowning is not fun. It's a slow death. And I opened my eyes for a second, and it was dark. So there was just no point of even trying to see what was going on in my car. And I also had to fight for my seatbelt to get off. And then I had to find the window, and then I had to get out the window, and then I had to swim all the way up to the surface. So I went up and up and up and up and up until my lips hit the surface, and I just gasped for air. I swam 200 yards, 2 lengths of football field. It didn't feel like that to me. I just knew, I feel like I got there within 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, because I just wanted to get out the water.
The incredible moment she pulled herself to safety was captured on camera.
I got hit by a truck. That was the first words that came out of my mouth.
Hang on, we called 911, hang on! Okay. They're coming, they're sending help!
There's nobody else there, is there? No. Okay.
You gotta hold on, okay? Hold on, I told you.
I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what happened. I saved myself.
4 months later, Morgan is only just coming to terms with her terrifying ordeal on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
Still hard even to wrap my mind around it now. Even though it's sad, I have to look at it as a blessing.
Morgan's accident fueled the Chesapeake's fearsome reputation.
Hello, how are you?
Hi,
I'll be
fine.
doing your Bay Bridge drive over today. My name is
Okay.
Samantha.
Hi, my name's Kathleen.
Now, some motorists are actually so scared of the bridge, they're prepared to pay a complete stranger to drive them over in their own car.
They just feel like they're either fall off the bridge, break down. That's when we just come to the rescue. Nice to meet you.
Sam Nice charges $25 for a one-way ride. Business is booming.
I've had panic attacks while coming across the bridge. I'm okay as long as someone else is driving, but the idea of driving over myself just freaks me out.
Kathleen regularly travels from Baltimore to Delaware for a weekend break. That means crossing the Chesapeake Bridge. Without Sam's services, she would be stuck.
Does it matter a particular lane you want to drive in? Want to cross the bridge? The right side?
Guardrails are the only barriers between cars and a 108-foot drop into the Chesapeake Bay.
For people who are afraid of heights, they're going to freeze up. You see a large body of cold water with not particularly much guardrail, you get nervous.
If you freeze up on the bridge, there's nowhere to stop for over 4 long miles.
The closer that we get to the center of the bridge, that heightens my panic.
You are? Are you comfortable? Am I going too fast or anything?
No, you're fine. It's me.
I just want to make sure you're comfortable.
Accidents on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, including Morgan's, still haunt terrified motorists like Kathleen.
The accident that they had where the lady fell into the water, I was getting more comfortable riding over. And then I heard about her with her car going off the side and her going into the water. Frightening.
Sam manages to get Kathleen safely across. For her, the terrifying ride is over. But with every accident, the Chesapeake's reputation as the world's scariest bridge grows stronger. At number 3, we head to Japan, home to the world's most rickety bridge. Japan is a technological superpower, a country famous for incredible engineering and earthquake-proof buildings. But when it comes to bridges, it's got a few surprises. Rotting deep in the Japanese hills are some of the ricketiest bridges on Earth.
There are so many abandoned bridges in Japan because 50 years ago, agriculture was the lifestyle of the mountains here. Agriculture is no longer the way of life in Japan. There's no longer a need for the bridges, and thus there's nobody to cross them anymore and no one to maintain them.
The 60-year-old Muso Tsurubashi Bridge takes rickety to a whole new level. Made of frayed rope, rusty wire and decaying wooden boards, its name actually means rickety bridge.
A bridge won't last forever. Iron will rust. The connections will begin to break, and ultimately it will fall down.
These relics of old Japan now litter the countryside as aging death traps. They're no use to anybody, except perhaps these guys. Nicknamed the Bonkers Crew. They just love exploring the country's dangerous and forgotten bridges.
やっぱりみんなが行かないところで危ないところっていうのもが結構好きなところですね。まあその危なければ危ないほどとか危険だったら危険なほどやっぱやりがいがあってっていうのはある。
This bridge, only recently discovered by Suji and his friends, trumps even the Muso Tsurubashi on the rickety and danger scale.
まあ最初は橋なのかなっていうは思ったんですけど、行ってみたところ、まあああいうのがあったっていうことで、まあびっくりはしましたね。
Long abandoned, Suji and his crew have no idea if it's safe. But why should that stop them? If the bridge collapses, they will fall 100 feet to the valley floor below.
もうほとんど渡るところがなくて、やっぱまあ間が空きすぎちゃってるこの間が空きすぎちゃってて、まあ落っこることは考えられるっていうのはありますね。
Mission complete. The Bonkers crew survive, and so too does the world's most rickety bridge. For now.
こういうふうになんとか渡れる橋でここまで危険なところはないですね。
At number 2, in Seattle, the world's longest floating bridge, the new SR 520. Right next to the city of Seattle is Lake Washington, home to the biggest bridge building project in America.
For me, it's the ultimate challenge in bridge building.
When complete, this will be the world's longest floating bridge.
This will be the most advanced floating bridge in the world.
Floating bridges have existed for thousands of years. Quick and easy to build, they played a key role in both the First and Second World Wars.
A floating bridge is what it says on the tin. You basically bring pontoons in, which are really ships without any function other than they've got a float. You position them, you cable them down, and then you put boards or small bridges between them, which form the floating bridge.
But today, around the world, they are rare.
They're slightly more unreliable than a normal bridge. All bridges are prone to accidents if you don't look after them. Floating bridges just need a lot more maintenance.
And if proof were needed, just check out this bridge that crosses the Nedim River in Siberia. When heavy trucks drive over the bridge, their weight causes it to sink below the water level, nearly washing other cars into the river. If you think only Russia has problems with floating bridges, look what happened in Seattle. During a storm, the Lacey V. Moreau Memorial Floating Bridge broke apart and sank.
One pontoon sunk, dragged another pontoon down, and the whole bridge sunk.
Just moments ago, this section of the bridge sank in Lake Washington.
And guess what? Just 4 miles from that disaster, on the same lake, they're at it again.
We're going to build a brand new bridge. It'll be the world's longest floating bridge.
Lake Washington is both very deep and dead center in an earthquake zone. This means that building an ordinary bridge isn't an option.
Floating bridges are often required where you have things like earthquakes, where you've got ground movements which could cause real problems to a permanent structure.
For over half a century, the current SR 520 floating bridge has served Seattle. But now it's past its sell-by date, and the need for a bigger and better bridge is growing.
The old current bridge just turned 50. Along with that, it doesn't meet the current design standards as far as seismic design. It's vulnerable to wind and wave action. We're going to build a brand new bridge next to it.
The new SR 520 will run parallel and replace the old floating bridge. It's a colossal undertaking.
In the world of bridge construction and marine construction, this is one of the most extreme challenges.
Due for completion in 2016, the new bridge is in a crucial phase of construction. The builders are assembling 33 floating concrete boxes called pontoons. Each is the length of a football pitch and the weight of 23 jumbo jets. As the backbone of the bridge, every last one of them must float.
It needs to be watertight. If the pontoons are not watertight or there's some form of accident that breaches them, like any hull structure, they are going to sink.
To avert another disaster, safety checks are rigorous at every stage of construction. Before the pontoons are joined together, engineers build floating dry docks around some of them. Next, further tests and inspections are carried out. They must spot every potential flaw or weakness. One mistake could spell catastrophe.
So up above us, we have a floating pontoon, roughly 10,000-ton concrete block floating in the water.
When checks are complete, the next phase is to anchor all the pontoons to the lake bed and link them all together.
Each one has to be joined together to form a spine or a backbone for the bridge itself.
Still over 2 years from completion, its builders hope the new SR 520 will be an engineering benchmark for years to come.
It's the world's longest floating bridge. I'll never get another chance to build something like this the rest of my lifetime.
Up next, at number 1, the world's most extreme bridge. We've seen coca farmers' zip wires in Bolivia, an elegant solution in mountainous Nepal, and a record-breaking floating bridge in Seattle. Now, top of our list at number 1, in southern France, is the Millau Viaduct. It's an engineering marvel, a bridge that touches the sky, the tallest ever built.
Many people consider this the most beautiful bridge in the world.
The Millau Bridge's pioneering design and construction, coupled with its sheer height, rightly earns it top spot.
The Millau Bridge is probably one of the great icons at the beginning of the 21st century. One of the beautiful things about the Millau Bridge is the way it was made. The roadway was built from each end and then pushed out across the piers until it met in the middle.
Built in just 4 years, the 1.5-mile-long bridge spans one of the deepest valleys in France and is as tall as the Eiffel Tower. It single-handedly cut the summer journey time on the A75 from Paris to Perpignan in southern France by a whopping 2.5 hours. This ladder is engineer Franck Lemouton's journey to work. He's one of the men responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of the bridge.
Il arrive fréquemment que je vienne dans le viaduc pour aller vérifier l'état des caméras. Il y a aussi des caméras qui surveillent l'autoroute. Il y a beaucoup de matériel qui servent à la sécurité.
But the cameras aren't positioned at road level. Oh no, they're right at the top of the bridge's mighty piers. That means that Franck must climb 300 feet, rung by rung by rung.
Mon sport favori, c'est l'escalade. Oui, avec le travail que je pratique, il ne faut pas avoir le vertige.
The view from the top is both awe-inspiring and terrifying.
Alors, la première fois que je suis venu travailler sur le pont, c'était fantastique. À l'époque, le plus gros émerveillé par la grandeur de l'ouvrage et lorsque je suis rentré dedans, c'était monumental.
Security on the Millau Bridge is tight because its vertigo-inducing height attracts a unique band of adrenaline junkies. Former British soldier Lewis Jones and 2 friends prepare for the thrill of a lifetime.
Just kind of pull onto the hard shoulder and then slow down, you know what I mean?
The thrill for me of base jumping is taking my life into my own hands and being that close to death.
Along with base jumpers from all over the world, they feel the lure of the world's tallest bridge, Millau Viaduct.
For me, it's the height primarily. The amount of free fall you can get from this viaduct is unbelievable. But the other thing really is the fact that it's an open space to fall into. With that particular jump, I was strangely the only one out of the group that was really nervous.
From the roadside, it's a 900-foot sheer drop to the valley below. Base jumping from the bridge is highly dangerous and highly illegal. Even Lewis doesn't recommend that other people do this jump. But there is little the authorities can do to stop them.
It's in between the second and third. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Hell yeah, we're gonna do this.
We look for the perfect spot, just slow down enough to get out and get gone as quick as we can.
Not too close. Not too close. That's it. Stop.
Quick.
The jump is a Mr. Bill. This is a dual base jump, requiring expert teamwork and precise execution.
right, go.
Have a good one.
Oh my God!
Just 600 feet from the ground, Lewis releases from his partner. He is now free-falling at 60 miles per hour.
You have to be able to look at the ground and know what's happening and know how many seconds roughly you're going to be able to fall safely from.
He has to get his chute deployed right now. The 900-foot descent takes just 45 seconds.
Yes, buddy.
But with the French police likely to be hot on their heels, there is no time to celebrate.
Let's get out of here.
It's just a case of if somebody's seen you. So it's hit and miss. It's a real risk.
This time, Lewis and his friends get lucky and escape being caught. Since his first jump in June 2013, Lewis has risked his life jumping from the world's tallest bridge a further 10 times. He's addicted to the Millau Bridge.
The Millau Bridge is extreme because of the height. It's just alien. It's nothing like any other object I jumped.
A unique launch pad, the tallest ever built. The Millau Bridge is definitely the world's most extreme.